to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy, and today we are going to talk about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll call it 10 best items I have read so far in 2025. So let's get to it. First of all, I read Wonder, and this is by R.J. Palacio. And this I read for a book group, and this was a surprise, and it was amazing. It is about a boy named August, and he is normal in many ways. He does well schoolwork, he loves Star Wars, he loves his family, and he loves his dog. But he was born with a face that looks very different from most people. And so these are his adventures of going to, is it junior high or middle school? In either case, he's been homeschooled his whole life to this point. So quite the adventure for him. Then I read The Dove and the Eagle's Nest by Charlotte Mary Yongue. Perhaps not her best work, but did I care? Not really. This is the story of a girl named Christina. I think it was when she was an infant. If not, it was when she was a toddler, but I'm pretty sure it's when she was an infant. Her father, who led something of a wandering life, came to visit his much more stationary brother in a town or a city. Now, this brother is involved in the life of the city, helping to build a cathedral, things like that. But her father, not so much, and her mother dies shortly after they arrived there. I think that's one of the reasons why her father took them there, so they'd have a place to rest for a bit. Anyway, so he leaves Christiana with her uncle and aunt, who grow up and love her. And then, is it when she's 16? Something like that. Her father returns, insisting that she come with him to help the daughter of a local lord / robber baron, kind of hard to know which is which sometimes, who is ill. And since she is his daughter, no one has much choice about it, so she does. She meets this lord's son there, and things go on from there. I also read Winter and Rough Weather by D.E. Stevenson, which is the third and final book of this set. And in this one, we have James Daring and his new wife, Rhoda, and they're starting married life and have a number of adventures. Some of them caused by the fact that they are basically at the secondary farm of his aunt and uncle, who've helped James learn farming, which is all very well, but it's on the other side of the river, not really any bridges or anything like that. So calm summer or fall, that's fine getting around, and the roads aren't bad anyway. In wintertime, you can actually skate across. But come spring with all the floods, that's another matter. Also read Why Literature Still Matters by Jason M. Baxter. Need to reread this and think about it more. But In short, yes, literature still matters because we are human and literature is a very human thing, if nothing else. Then I read The White Ship, Conquest, Anarchy, and the Wrecking of Henry I's Dream by Charles Spencer. This I quite enjoyed. It was rather amazing. We start basically with the Norman Conquest and get all that settled. And we follow Henry's life until he becomes Henry I. And the work he did trying to stabilize everything in the country and working things out for the future, which he did. And then the White Ship disaster happened, and we get the aftermath of that. He had such lovely plans. Then the Ickabog by J.K. Rowling. So this is a fairy tale, and it's set rather in a fairy tale world in this kingdom. And our two main characters are a girl and a boy. They start out friends, then something happens, and then more things happen, trouble in the kingdom that affects both of them. And things go on from there, and J.K. Rowling is such a masterful storyteller. I'm so glad I finally read it. I also read Impossible Creatures by Katherine Rundell. And let me tell you, I have not read a book that made me feel so much like the first time I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe since this. Christopher, he lives in our world, but he discovers near his uncle's or grandfather's place. I think it's uncle's. Anyway, a way to a different world where magic and magical creatures exist. And he kind of figures this out because he encounters a baby griffin that crossed over and a girl from that world, Mel, who came after the griffin, and she begs him to help her. And things go on from there. It is truly amazing. Then I read What You Are Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama. Probably not saying that very well, but this is the first of the Japanese cozy, comforting books that I have read. I still think it is the one I enjoyed the best. We have 5 different stories with a tiny bit of interconnection. 5 different people facing their own challenges in life. And they end up at the community library for various reasons. And that visit happens to change their lives. I also read Brave Companions, Portraits in History by David McCullough. Now this, I would say, might be a good place to start with David McCullough because he's a wonderful writer, but I can't deny some of his books are rather long, shall we say. So this is basically a collection of various articles and essays, perhaps even speeches that he gave over several decades. And so that is the great thing about this collection. Wide variety of subjects. If you don't like one thing, you can skip the rest and go on to the next one. And get a real feel for his writing and see if you think it is worth it based on that, tackling something probably 4 or 5 times as large as this. So, and then finally, Not a Single Book But I've been reading Emma M. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon this year. I read the first two last year and then restarted for Jen's Reading Life's read along, and have read all of them except for the last to be published because that is this month and I haven't gotten to it yet. But I adore this series. There's Emma M. Lyon. You meet her. She's an amazing character. Courageous and tries to be cheerful even in the face of difficult situations. And she has difficult situations, starting with being an orphan and having to live with cousin Archibald. Well, technically, and especially now that she's come of age, she could throw him out, but for her father's sake, she doesn't. And cousin Archibald, and aunt, is it Eugenia? She has some of the worst relatives. Fortunately, with her coming back to Lapis Lazuli house, which she has inherited from her parents, and is in St. Crispin's in London somewhere, she meets a lot of people and makes some friends, which, well, we'll just say the more she gets to know them, the more important some of them get to be, and leave it at that. So, I have read some amazing things, and this isn't all of the amazing things that I have read, but all of these are items that I have first read this year, and I am so glad that I have. So, how has your reading been going for the first half of the year? Have any favorites or standouts? Love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. And if I don't do comments, YouTube has changed how they're doing comments. So I have to figure that out. Put that on my list. But I truly do appreciate you stopping by. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.